Well, for a game that was definitely hyped up by the media, it's only fitting the fact that it would end in a scoreless draw, and that's what we saw in this game between the US and England. Though I will say this, coming into this game, if you would have told me that the US can get a draw out of England, I would definitely be happy with that result, especially after England pretty much just wiped the floor off of Iran and scored 6 goals past them. And the fact that in this game, I actually thought the US were the better team in this one, and that this is also kind of another game, just like the last one against Wales, that there are definitely some regrets that the US could have won this one and could have turned a draw out of the win. Though I will say that unlike the last game where that draw that they had against Wales felt like a loss, this one maybe not as much. I mean, it was kind of a little bit unlucky at times the U.S. has had. I mean, the Post, of course, denied the U.S. a chance to get maybe the only goal in this one. But the fact that watching this performance, how the U.S. really bossed against England and pretty much shut down most of their important attacker is definitely encouraging. That the fact that they can definitely get the job done against Iran, because I think the other thing that coming into this game, as much as I mentioned how hyped up this game was, in terms of what is now actually the most important game after we saw the result between Iran versus Wales, it's pretty much that final game for the U.S. and that is pretty much the game that the U.S. had to get a win if they move on into the next round. And in other words, it pretty much means that the U.S. not only control their destiny, but this game kind of maybe lost a little bit of the meaning because of what we saw in the game between Iran and Wales, which we'll talk about in another video that I'll make after this one. Now, before we start talking about the first half, the starting 11 in this game, we got Turner, Des, Zimmerman, Ream, Robinson, McKennie, Adams, Musa, Pulisic, Way, and Haji Wright. So there's definitely some changes. One notable change is Haji Wright coming in. I mean, I know there was some that were not happy about this decision to put Haji Wright in the starting 11, but I kind of had a sense that the reason why maybe Greg Berhalter decided to bring Haji Wright into this game is that he is going to kind of bring that pace whenever the U.S. trying to go on the transition, knowing the fact that the U.S. were probably going to maybe sit back a little bit and try to hit England on the counterattack. Well, little do we know that was exactly not how this game turns out to be. Though one also interesting thing that happened in this game is that Greg Berhalter decided to go with a 4-4-2 in this one, and I think this is the first time in his managerial role, or at least in a long time, that I remember he go with a 4-4-2 because he tends to love to go with a 4-3 2-1 kind of formation, or actually not 4-3-2-1, a 4-2-3-1 formation that he likes to do. He likes to have four at the back with two number sixes, free kind of attacking midfield player, and well, actually one attacking midfielder and two winger, and then you have a lone number 9 up front. So the fact that they decided to go on with 2 strikers up front in this one was definitely a little bit different that Berhalter decided to try to do. But I don't disagree with him trying to do that, because you knew that Gareth Southgate, he knew what the U.S. was going to do. I mean, he thought that the U.S. was going to play that predictable 4-2-3-1 kind of formation, and that the fact that Berhalter decided to surprise Southgate's a little bit, maybe kind of throw England off guard a little bit, or at least that's what we thought that it was going to be the case, because early on it was actually a cagey start for both of these teams. And again, it just feels like this is a game that, again, with the way that the media have really hyped up to be a so-called best game of the World Cup, that both of these teams want to try to just feel each other out. They don't want to make a mistake, because one mistake can definitely cost a goal, and we know that in a highly intense game that I expect in this one, one goal could be the difference between either of these teams winning it. But in the 10th minute, Kane did had a good look from 12 yards out there, but that one was crucially blocked by Zimmerman. And I thought England kind of started to hit the gas pedal, and this is kind of something we saw in the game against Iran, where they kind of started off slow, but then eventually when they hit that gas pedal and started to really build up that momentum, they basically scored that first goal, and they ran riots. And I will give credit to the U.S. They did not allow that to happen. Though up to that point, it looked like they were getting pinned back, and there was just so many last-ditch defending. And I was kind of concerned that, again, going back to what England did to Iran, it seems like England was going to do the same thing for the U.S. But like I said, give credit to the U.S. They did not do that because there was a chance for the U.S. in the 16th minute as Haji Wright heads it just wide from close range. Again, while they ride out the mini English story. I mean, even though it wasn't really just a lot of minutes where England were really started to forward it to the spot and started to really push the U.S. back. The U.S. does a good job in terms of riding that out, and it's important to do so because now they can have a chance to try to go forward on the attack and themselves look to try to get the opening goal. And they came close a couple of times to do so. First, McKennie, yeah, he would love to have this one back. I mean, 10 yards out there, he was open there. I think he kind of maybe rushed it a little bit, kind of didn't keep his composure a little bit, and he completely fluffs his lines from 10 yards out. Musa then had a shot that was deflected, but it goes right to Pickford. But you can kind of sense that momentum was with the U.S. I mean, they friend with a couple of chances of getting the opening goal, and they came probably the closest in the 33rd minute, and also the closest anybody came to scoring in this one as Pulisic, which struck the post from long range. I mean, he absolutely smacked that one onto the post. I mean, Pickford, he did try to dive to save that one, but you knew he was not going to get to that one. So very unlucky for Christian Pulisic and the U.S. To not get the opening goal there. Dest then had a shot that was deflected off of Maguire and goes wide before Pulisic would head it just wide from close range. Now, on the other end, Saka did skies it high from close range before Turner had to deny Mason Mount from 17 yards out, and those two chances just kind of a reminder that, you know, despite the fact that the U.S. were kind of the better team, at least for the last 25 minutes or so, England looked like they were trying to sneak into halftime with a lead, and again, good job for the U.S. not letting that to happen, and we do head to halftime with the scoreline scoreless between both of these teams. Now, in the second half, McKennie would then fire one into the stands in the 49th minute. The shots were 8-5 in favor of the U.S. up to that point. Pulisic would then pose a shot that was deflected, and it goes wide there. This was a much better game for Christian Pulisic, who, you know, in the last game, there was a lot of criticism of him in terms of not playing well. I thought this one he played much better in this, and in general the attack for the U.S. and especially going forward in the final third, I thought it was much cleaner in this game compared to the one that they had against Wales. But I thought the other thing that was very interesting to see the U.S. continue to do in the second half was just completely tearing this English midfield apart. Like, you know, I talked about before with this England team of how, you know, I have concerns about that defense and also that midfield, and it's basically being shown in full force because that midfield was just getting completely out man, and that the other thing that the U.S. did really good is to win the ball high up the pitch. So England was just getting pinned back. Like they just had no answer every time when the U.S. of course created chances, and then when England tried to clear their lines or try to play out of the U.S. pressure, they can't do it. The U.S. is able to win the ball high up the pitch, and that possession was just heavily in favor of the U.S. Pulisic then whips one in from the corner that Pickford had to tip that one away, and that I think Gareth Southgate, he probably saw enough. Like, he knew that his team was really reeling there, so he decided to bring some reinforcement, decided to bring Grealish and Henderson into this game, and in some way that actually was a smart decision from Gareth Southgate's standpoint, and certainly for England's standpoint, because it really kind of changed the momentum. Like, the England really started to finally have the possession again, and that they were actually trying to go forward on the attack and was asking the U.S. backline question again. And Greg Berhalter realized that, looks like my opposition has already made a move, so I better make a move soon. And I think a lot of U.S. fans was just screaming for Greg Berhalter to make a change, because again, they with the way that their opposition make a change and it has completely impacted the game, it was a matter of time before the U.S. have to do the same thing. So he decided to bring in Brendan Aronson and Shaq Moore into this one. And again, a lot of people are a little bit surprised that Shaq Moore were come in instead of DeAndre Yedlin. I mean, I have no problem with that because Yedlin, I thought he was okay in that first game, but nothing spectacular. And that, you know, I know Shaq Moore is kind of a guy that I don't think anybody thought that he was going to get even a single second onto the pitch in the World Cup, but here he is coming on as a substitute and trying to bring some fresh legs for this U.S. team. But as the time winds down, I thought the U.S. really started to play conservatively. Now, I understand that, you know, up to that point, maybe Greg Berhalter is thinking, well, you know, yes, if they can get a win against England, it's nice, and it gives the Americans fans something to brag about over their English overlord. But still, it kind of doesn't really matter because we still need to get a result against Iran and most likely have to win against Iran. So I think that was kind of his mindset of why the U.S. really kind of played conservatively, because they were dropping back their lines. They looked like they were happy to get a draw out of this one, and that England kind of started to attack, and that, you know, I know that in their mind a draw for them won't be the worst result, because after getting that 3 points, they're still in the top spot in the group. But at the same time, I believe if they can get a win in this one, it pretty much secure them at least qualify into the next round. So they were trying to maybe get that opening goal and get that late winner. Rashford tried to do so, but he hits or hit a weak shot right to Turner before Kane would head to just wide from the free kick. I mean, I'm pretty sure the U.S. fans, and including myself, seeing that, I think everybody had their heart drop for a second when that ball was flicked in by Harry Kane, because he had a free header there. That was the moment for England to get that late winner, but unfortunately he could not steer that one away. And just to show you that the U.S. really played conservatively and decided to just play for a draw, they had a free kick literally with seconds left in this game, and instead of just maybe putting it into the box so that they can win the game, they basically played it short, and that was the final whistle. So at that, and again, I know there's going to be people that's going to be upset, and rightfully so, because you want to get a win in the group stage. But again, I think overall we knew that coming into this game, that game against Iran is going to be big, and now that game against Iran, like I said before, it's pretty much a must-win in that game. They have to win if they want to qualify. It really doesn't matter what happened in the England and Wales resort. So yeah, we'll see how that's going to turn out, and especially with the way that the U.S. play in this one, I do think that if they play like this against Iran, they should be able to get the victory. I mean, this is not to discount Iran. I mean, I thought they played well in the game against Wales, and I'll talk about in just a bit. But the way that the U.S. has play in this one, I mean, they are just going to be a little bit more cleaner in terms of their finishing. I think they definitely have a shot of getting all 3 points against Iran, and knowing the fact that I think Iran themselves, they're not just going to sit back in that game. I mean, well, they will sit back, but they won't sit back in a way where they're just doing it so that they can get a draw out of the game, because I believe Iran, they still have something to play for, and technically a draw, you know, depending on how Wales, of course, does, a draw won't actually work in their favor because of the goal difference that they have had. But yeah, you know, this is certainly very fascinating to see, but certainly the thing for the U.S. and the simplest way for them to approach in that final game, if they want to make it to the round of 16 and make it out of the group, win that game against Iran. Shots in this one, 8 shots compared to 10 that England has, 1 shot on goal compared to 3 that the U.S. had, 5 shots off target compared to 4 that the U.S. had, 4 shots that was blocked compared to 1 that the U.S. had, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to the 45% possession that England has in this game. And yeah, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this game? I mean, do you think this is a good result for the U.S. and that, you know, do you still think that the U.S. has a shot in terms of making out of the group and getting that big win against Iran in the final group stage game in just a couple of days? But yeah, let me know in the comments below. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.